We're gonna go to El Jefe first. El Jefe is very important to me. During the pandemic, we couldn't do comedy anywhere. And I pitched them my idea, hey, can we do comedy here? And they're like, do it on a Wednesday. I said, all right, cool. And we sold it out. We'll walk outside and have a whole city that is behind me.
Meteoric rise of just me seeing him and what he does and the elevation of his comedy is incredible, dude.
Like, you got it, man. Like, you have the niche, you're running strong in this town.
And these people go, hey, we believe in you. I go to these nightclubs here because I love music, I love a drink, this is nothing I hide. This place has become the marker of where it all started, dude. So like, that's where like the stage was when we first did it. From here, it's like kind of the first spot, the first staple. These things, the fact that people give it is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced.
I just need a reason. I just need to know what's on your mind. You can call my name, I'll be around.
We're here to interview Eric Bernal. He's inside. Let's go meet him.
What's up, Eric? How you doing, man?
Good, bro.
Let me bring you to the spot. All access over here, man.
Through the back like Goodfellas?
Something like that, yeah, exactly. Good fella style, man. This, my friend, is Almost Famous.
Today I have with me a hilarious comedian who's been opening for Tim Dillion, Distefano, Yannis Pappas, you name him. He probably has done work with them. Eric Bernal, how you doing today, man?
Chilling, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for opening up this place to me. You made the connect, and I appreciate you for making the time.
Man, yeah, man. This is the place I've been running a lot of my stuff out of, so
Yeah.
Almost Famous here in Scottsdale, Arizona.
That's what's up. So you were actually voted the best comedian in Arizona in 2020 and 2022. You received the reward in 2023.
Correct, yeah.
So how did you get those rewards? Who was your competition at that time?
You know, the 2021, I think I was more in lock with what that was, because I guess for me in the beginning, that mattered a lot to me. Now it's nice. Those things are good.
Yeah.
But like Kanye doesn't win an award, you know, he still knows he's good. You know what I mean? I think in comedy, it's almost having an award is a little, it's like a little icky. Showboating isn't like our thing. But it's cool that I won it. I think it was by AZ Foothills magazine. I'm not paying attention too much on the rewards right now, but it's nice. Shout out to the people that run that magazine. I was on it. If you get the cover, I got 3 of them, so I can give one to my mom and 2 for me. It was cool. It was something different, you know, seeing yourself in a magazine. Sure. I think a long time ago probably would have meant more, but now it still means a lot of things, but it's cool. It's a great reminder that I'm doing something right.
Yeah, and so I actually wanted to compliment you on something. The first time I ever met you, we were in Stand Up Live. You were opening for Tim Dillion. We were in a show, fully packed room.
Yeah, 550 something people. Yeah.
550 people. We were in the MVP section, the front rows.
Yeah.
You come out. The audience was so whack that day. They were cold. No one was laughing.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of openers. I go to that place a lot. They don't have it. But you came out swinging that day, and every single person, even Tim Dillion himself said, you people aren't my demo. There was a girl sitting up front with pink hair. So they weren't even supposed to like anticipate those jokes that were being cracked at them. You came out swinging, you said some crazy outlandish jokes.
Yeah.
And you got them warmed up. You actually did your job, and you were actually really good at it. This is my question to you. When people pull up to a comedy show, right? Like, we live in the softest period in human history ever.
Yeah.
We live in the most comfortable, we're wimps compared to the people that came before us, right?
Uber a Thanksgiving dinner to your house right now.
That's what I'm,
Yeah,
that's
it's
what I'm
crazy.
saying. So with that in mind, people get offended to anything. How come people buy tickets to comedy show knowing there's going to be crazy jokes and still get offended?
It's like those people that go to amusement parks that hate roller coasters. I don't really understand why. That fucks me up too a little bit, because I'm always like, you came here, but that's why I usually have a joke where I'm just like, especially if I'm opening, it's up to me to set the tempo.
Yeah.
It's on me to set the tempo. So I'm like, you guys signed up for here. I have a joke that I think I posted on my Instagram. I said, you know, if you came here to not get offended, you came to the wrong place. You don't go to church to not, you know, if you don't want to get saved, you don't go to church.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, recognize where you're going. We've all made a conscious decision that we're here together, We're here. You may not like everything that's being said, but that's on purpose.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to like everything.
Yeah.
So-
And so with that in mind then, is there anything off limits for you?
No.
Anything goes.
Anything goes for me. I mean, I got to make sure it's funny. There's like a formula to it. I think Chappelle said it's got to be more funny than it is offensive. If it's more offensive than it is funny, then you guys just got to take it back to the shop and work on it. Nothing wrong with that, but that's the problem is a lot of people don't understand we're trying out new stuff and we don't know where the line is until we cross it. So as soon as we cross it and then we're like, oh shit, all right, cool. Like I have jokes that if you heard the first levels of it, you'd be like, what? And now hear how it is now. It takes time. You're molding something, it's art. And once you finally get it right, then that audience will appreciate it. But there's some audiences, you have to understand, I would say if you think like, wow, that joke was a little, it's probably that first person, that person's first time even trying it out.
Yeah.
And then they go, all right, and then from there, it could like be something else.
Yeah.
So you go in there knowing that people are gonna groan and moan, and number one advice I ever got was don't take it personal.
Don't take it personal. So when you first started picking up a mic, doing comedy, walk me through that. When was the first time? How many people were you performing in front of?
So I did it as a teenager for a little bit. I actually performed in front of my family. They were like, Eric, do stand-up. I think I was like 15, 16, just messing around. And I was like killing, right? Because I knew my audience. I was talking about life, I was talking about what we go through as kids, and it was just funny. Then I just did theater for a little bit, and then I kind of just abandoned it. I was always the guy who was making people laugh, but to me, like, that doesn't always translate. See, some people don't even understand, like, when you tell someone, like, hey, I think I could be a comedian, it's kind of like an insult. Because it's like, oh, you think what I do is so easy that you think you can do it.
Yeah.
But then I have to realize, a comic once told me, no, you make it look so easy. It's a compliment that they think they can do it.
Yeah.
But all you got to do is point them towards the mic and see if they can. I always say, oh, you think, yeah, okay, cool. Go ahead. Here's 5 minutes. I used to run a big open mic here. Say, you know, do your 5 minutes. But yeah, man, I started there, and then I got a phone call. It's funny, I was talking to him yesterday by a guy named Albert. Albert is a filmmaker out here in Arizona, 2-time Emmy Award winning. On a Tuesday in July, hits me up and says, hey, you need to do comedy. And I was like, okay. I started August 11th, officially, 2019, and I've never stopped. This is not a long time. We're about to hit 4 years, you know, and there's some backlash on that too, because it's like, I've done a lot in a very short time, but I promise you, the same people that are upset about that haven't put in the work that I have. I could see it. It's undeniable. So, you said the crowd. It was at Stand Up Live, first time I ever performed anywhere.
That's a crazy crowd
It
to
was
do.
called New Faces of Arizona. Basically, it's a bringer show. A bringer show is where you're mandated to bring a certain amount of people or you can't perform. So they'll bring like 15 comics doing 5 minutes each, or 20 comics, but you're mandated to bring 10 people each. It makes sense, right? You're nobody. Everybody brings 10. Let's say 15 people end up doing it. You got 150 people in the crowd. Nice crowd.
Yeah.
I brought 68 people. I made like a demo tape of like, hey, this Sunday you'll see me at Grit, you know. And my boy walked me through it, and he does edits, right? He's a filmmaker, so he made it look so official.
Yeah.
And I did a couple of bits, and I'm not saying that those were great, but I love the feeling, and I was like, I got to do this forever.
Okay. So in 2006, actually, you were voted class clown.
Yes.
When you were in school.
Yeah.
And you also had aspirations for being a teacher at one point.
Yeah.
So did you...
Done your homework.
Oh yeah, bro, we come prepared.
Shit.
So when you were wanting to be a teacher and you were also voted class clown, where you're like, I don't want to pursue being a teacher because I don't want to be on the other team, or you're like, I can't deal with another Eric Bernal,
You know,
growing up.
I used to think that would be probably my karma. I just love history. I was a history education major in New York, and I won class clown Sleepy Hollow High School, class of 06. And I was going through a time of just like any man at that time. I knew myself, but I knew nothing about myself. I was in disarray, man. I had no clue who I was or who I wanted to be. I didn't even know if I was acting like myself. You know, I thought this would be cool, so I did that. This would be cool. I knew that I had something because anytime I was actually me, it worked. In business, with women.
What does that mean though? What does it mean being you?
Like myself, like I was genuine. And genuine is me being funny. Like I could see the levity in almost everything, even in the bad things. Like I remember, I had a friend who passed away when I was young. I remember it was tough. My boy Daniel, he passed away when I was like 19, 20. He's in a car accident. And I remember just a year later with my friends going, oh, that idiot would have loved this shit, and called him an idiot.
Yeah.
And he had that stupid laugh, Jesus. And I remember we were laughing, and then we all laughed, and then we cried about it. I knew that part of me, like, being yourself is like such a simple thing to say, and I feel like people go, just be yourself, and then people just disregard and be someone else. You ever hear that old thing like everyone else is taken, so you might as well be yourself, right? I take that to the next level. My friendships, my business partners, there's a certain trust we have because I have a pretty good bullshit meter. I think I got that from being genuine. When I was a bullshitter myself, I couldn't tell who was who.
Did you ever go through like a traumatic experience where you were like, you know what, this is what I need to change in my life? Was there someone in your ear as a mentor being like, hey man, be true to yourself, and then that's how the next levels of your life will unlock, or did it just come to you naturally one day?
A lot of conversations come to mind. I think a major thing that happened to me, I spoke to my dad. Me and my dad are not really close. We connected when I was like after 18, became friends, and now I said a joke, and I haven't spoken to him in 2 years. Crazy, man. He's a macho dude. But one thing he once said to me, he goes, right before I started comedy, and he said, man, I was you. I was that guy. I was the funny one. Girls liked me. I danced. I played guitar. He plays guitar. And he goes, and then I closed my eyes, Eric, and now I'm old. And I couldn't tell you where it all went. Don't let that happen to you. So from there on in, I was like, shit, I gotta activate myself. And I used to look for a lot of affirmation in women. I used to be a real big crutch of mine. And I think for a lot of people. And women have just a certain way of just a comfort that maybe your boy may not be able to give to you.
Yeah.
So I had a girlfriend for a few years here in Arizona. And I said I was supposed to start comedy a long time ago. And she said, I don't think you'd be good at that. And I listened to her. I listened to her because I loved her. And then that was the harsh realization of knowing that people can love you, my guy. People can love you. People can think that they want the best for you, but they don't know what's the best for you. The number one thing you listen to after your family, your parents, or even before all that is your gut.
Yeah.
Your gut almost never lies, man. Mm-hmm. When you feel like she's talking to someone else, she could very well be, it could also be your trauma. When you think that your partner's, fucking you on a deal, that could be too, but you gotta listen to it. You gotta entertain it. Where I was just like, you tell me what I should do. I love you, you tell me what I should be. As soon as I broke away from that and kind of like that conversation, even my brother, my brother is a guy who was always into poetry, never did anything with it. Was a great drawer, he would sketch, never did anything with it. Really inclined in technology, never really did anything. I mean, the guy could take apart a computer, put it back together, make it faster, hack into shit. The guy was, he's super talented, never did anything with it. And I was just like, I can't be this person and not do anything with it, So those men in my life, my brother, my father later on, he's still pissed at me. We'll figure out a way to talk, but I guess I'm as stubborn as he is. And I don't think I did anything wrong. And then it's like my uncles. I have an uncle who's also my godfather. The way he treats his wife, my aunt, these are things like unteachable unless you saw it firsthand. Like my uncle's a very hard worker, came to this country from Ecuador with nothing. My aunt, same thing, gorgeous woman. Tragedy struck, she got breast cancer twice. Beat it. And you know what he did? He said, this is a great time for us to renew our vows. threw a freaking $50,000 party just for all of our family to be together again because it had been a while. And I remember just being asked to speak at the wedding, and I was just like, man, like my examples of loving a woman are through you. So like, it's definitely the men in my life. Also, my mom, very loving. My mom's very, very, she'll drop something on you and then just walk away. She would say these gems. I mean, my sisters, I have 3 sisters. They became younger, 18, 19. She would say things like, hey, just remember, if you're giving it out for free, what's it really worth? And then just walk away. Like, that's my mom. And those are the people I've always been surrounded with. So I think in comedy, you gotta be smart. This is not a dumb man's game. If you ever think someone's dumb doing comedy and they're really good, they're fooling you. Because I promise you, it takes a lot to make the majority of the audience laugh. It's not easy.
It's like when a jester and a king are in the same room, you know? You think that the king is really the one in power, but the jester's staying alive by making the jokes.
Yeah, man. And there's a lot of pain. There's pain in comedy, man. This is like, because I got to perform no matter how I'm feeling. I could be going through the worst things in my life, and I still have to perform. I still got to make you laugh. And then I get off stage, and sometimes, I remember there was a time, bro, I performed, I had to do 30 minutes. Killing. I remember I just got off stage, and I just cried.
Really?
Yeah, because I was overwhelmed with like love and then like my reality. There's this famous painting, man, and there's a jester and he's like exhausted. He's crying.
Yeah.
And then everyone else is kind of enjoying the party.
Yeah.
Because he had just made them laugh. But he had to come to like the realization of not being so happy. A lot of people find comedy through trauma. Like, comedy is nothing but tragedy plus time. That's all it is. The things that, I speak about things that made me cry. Breakups, being cheated on. If you brought me back to that moment, if we went back in time and saw me, I was suffering. I was dying inside. I was playing the sad music. I was writing the harshest things. I was texting. I called 100 times. But then today I can make fun of it because I think the true testament of getting over anything is laughing about it.
Right.
That's how you know you're truly over it.
Obviously, if people don't get it by now, you're a deep dude. You can see that by spending.
Yeah, man.
I've been with you for 20 minutes now, and I can already tell that you are a very deep person. You think about things, and you're introspective. Is that a trait of a comic? Because like you said, it's tragedy plus time, right?
Yeah.
The best skits that I hear are things that I, as an audience member, can relate to.
Yeah, relatability.
So, the really great comics that I feel emotionally connected with, that I listen to all the time, like I was telling you behind the camera, they were saying things that I was like, at one point in my life, I could see myself in a similar position, or I was in a similar situation, and now my outlet is listening to them making fun of it, and I feel relieved because I feel like they're in on it with me, right?
Yeah.
Do you think to be a great comic, that is the common denominator that all of them share, or is it not necessarily, you don't need it?
I would say the majority. It's this thing of telling you something and not knowing that you even agree with it. There's this like these certain comics that are so good. They'll start off with a basis and be like, you'll be like, I don't agree with that. And at the end, he'll give you or she'll give you so much backing of their point, and you'll be at the end, holy shit, I agree with them. That's relatability too. Who hasn't been heartbroken? Who hasn't, gone through it? Who hasn't lost a family member? Who hasn't, been in a very low-paying job?
Yeah.
Who hasn't dated above their, their shit? Like, I dated a girl who was filthy rich, and I'm working on it, a set about it. And like, her handing me her card under the table so I could pay, things like that. Just like hilarious stuff. At the time, it was embarrassing. And that's why there's certain comics for different people. There's nothing wrong. Comedy is so subjective. Somebody could think I suck, and someone else could be like, you're my savior in comedy. If you make everyone laugh, I said this before, I would question your character.
Or if it's even genuine laughter.
Yeah, are you pandering?
Yeah.
Do you go into a room and then go, all right, these are all people over the age of this, in this race, okay, I know what I'm gonna say. But people who pander, man, like, that's something I can't do. I'm me. Dude, I say things, and you saw the Tim Dillion show, they were rough.
They were a rough crowd.
But
I felt uncomfortable to laugh because no one else was laughing.
But I know, and that it's contagious. Just like laughter is contagious, the holding in of laughter is contagious.
Yeah.
If you saw this, which somebody told me this that night, you want to know why you kept it? because you didn't look like it fazed you at all. If I get on stage and the audience sees that their silence is beating me up and making me feel uncomfortable, I've lost them. They no longer care about what I gotta say, because me, myself, I probably don't even believe it at this point.
So when you're on stage and you're having that conversation in your head like that, what you just said, right? Have you ever had that moment where you panicked and you couldn't recover?
Early on.
And it bombed?
Yeah, I bombed pretty bad. So here's like the worst way to bomb. I did great the first 6 months of doing comedy.
Okay.
I should have bombed earlier,
Ah.
but I didn't.
Because now you have this expectation you're always
Oh,
gonna
I
do
was like,
good.
I'm killing it.
Yeah.
I'm crushing it. I'm the man.
Yeah.
Unrealistic. And I remember I performed at the House of Comedy in Desert Ridge. I brought a girl with me. Oh my God, it was so embarrassing, bro. I was so egotistical too, a little bit. I went up there, ate shit, came down. She was like, that was okay. And I was like, let's leave. It felt horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Tom Segura once said like, he described bombing like having a microphone, having the girl you're in love with, all her friends, all your friends, and you saying, hey, I'm in love with you, and her going, ew, in front of everyone. Like, it's a pain, like, oh my God.
Yeah. Because it's a form of rejection.
Oh, it's hard to explain to someone. Some people go, I couldn't even go up there. Imagine that times 1,000.
Yeah.
There was another comedian, shout out to Sergio Chacon. Sergio Chacon's my guy. But I had heard a story about him bombing, and not even like what he said specifically, but he said he bombed so bad he left his jacket in the crowd and left.
You didn't want to go grab it?
He didn't even want to go grab it of how bad he did. I love that. But here's the thing, Chappelle bombs.
Yeah,
everyone
bombs.
bombs.
Yeah.
If comedy is not a freaking metaphor to life, I don't know what is. You could be crushing it forever. You could be the CEO of whatever, and you still can mess up. You can still fail. It's literally how you act about it afterwards.
So there's this new wave of comedy that's coming in now in the last 2-3 years, especially over COVID, because everyone was like, we need something to laugh about.
Yeah.
Everything's taken too seriously. Everything's politicized. Everything is this, that, and the other. Do you think this wave is going to crash one day, or do you think this is the new standard?
Comedy comes in waves. There was a point like in the 80s and 90s where people would be like, you do comedy? It was like embarrassing to say.
Yeah.
Like people weren't proud of it. It wasn't as lucrative as it is now. That's why it's being more popular. Anything that there's money in, people are about it. You know, TikTokers wouldn't be doing it if there wasn't some type of money to be made, right?
Yeah.
Right now, people are so sensitive. Ari Shaffir calls it, he goes, it's great. Comedy's dangerous again.
Yep.
What a great place to do comedy than when a time when everyone fucking cares. And honestly, no one needs it more than the person that works at an office use a fake voice while they're at work. I hate that shit. I used to work in an office. I used to be in banking. I used to be in banking for 10 years, okay? There's nothing more that I look back, I'm so embarrassed at me going, how you doing, John? Everything great? Me, everything. You? Oh, you were with the kids? What you guys do? I don't give a shit, to be very honest with you. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I knew I had to go through these motions to be, and I always use this as an example. People who do the news. One was shot down the street on 8th Street. We'll have more at 10. No one talks like that.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous thing to be. It is so it's a character, it's a caricature. It is so fake that I cannot believe that person. We have let it's a small percentage of people bully cinema and television, but stand-up comedy is the last stand.
Yeah.
In Nazi Germany, it was the free thinkers, the people who did theater, that comedy that that was one of the first things they shut down.
Yeah.
They had to eliminate it because these people will not go with the rest. They'll go against the grain.
Mm-hmm.
That's why those people were first ones eliminated. They were done.
That's why you should be very cautious of people who don't appreciate jokes, because totalitarian systems strip away laughter, because laughter is a form of freedom and expression.
I'm okay with someone saying whatever for the fact that I need that. I go into things knowing I could be offended, knowing that I have the right to be offended. You know, there's this like saying where it's like, we have it so good, we have found new things to complain about. We've made up things to complain about.
That we wouldn't have if conditions were harder, which is my point in the beginning, saying we live in the
Yeah,
comfiest
you think
time.
someone that's in a war-torn country gives a fuck about pronouns or the representation of this, and that not a lot of people are working in here? They don't, dude, they want to eat and they want to survive. You know what I mean? Yo, they're too busy. There's other shit going on.
Yeah.
You have it so good in life. People out there, they have it so good that they have now comedy, you're gonna attack comedy? It's so crazy because we're not politicians. We're not lawyers. We're not asking you to do shit either. We're just asking you to come here. You know, Dave Chappelle said, and I'll quote him a lot, he said, you know, it's up to you comedians to keep doing this so that my children will know what reckless talk is like in a controlled environment. Because now outside, they have to be scared of even introducing themselves in a wrong way.
Right. So you're a history buff. You just said that fact about Nazi Germany stripping away the laugh factories and the comedian shows because that's a form of freedom.
Theater's huge.
Why do you think comedians are so good with history? Because you got, you know, Shane Gillis, Louis C.K. knowing all the presidents. You got Joe Rogan. You
Yannis Pappas.
got Yannis. Chris Distefano has Christories where he
Chris
talks
Trees,
about
yeah.
history shows. What's up with you and comedians in history, bro?
I think the thing with the history and the comedians, I think there's so much material that hasn't been used yet. Think about, if we talk about just common time, there's a lot, but it's been, I mean, that fruit has been squeezed.
Yeah.
You know, not saying that there isn't more and more will come, but I think the ones that, you know, Shane Gillis has a really good joke about, you know, introducing black players, right, to college football. And how it changed, dude. And if you haven't seen it, go ahead and Google it. It's a great bit. But you forget that it wasn't even a long time ago.
Right.
There's a comedian who's like, yeah, how long ago was slavery? I don't know, 2 grandpas ago? 3 grandpas ago? Like, that's how he saw it as. And like, you do math in a different way. You talk about, you know, a lot of World War II references and a lot of I went to New York City. I saw this Jewish guy do 20 minutes on the Holocaust. That was hilarious, right? Crazy to say right here and then. It's out of context. You'd have to go see it yourself.
Yeah.
But he nailed it. Going to show you could really talk. When people say this is not, you shouldn't be able to joke about that, then that's the thing you need to joke about. It's being that, you know, who said it? I think it was like Jordan Peterson, who was like, yeah, you have these joke police to say, you can't speak about that. He's like, oh yeah? And you're gonna be the one to determine what could be spoken about and what can't be, right? Because who are you? Oh, okay. So you get to tell people what's funny and not funny. Something that people can't even really describe themselves or why they even think something is funny, right? If your friend falls for some reason, that's funny. I don't know why it is. That's something I've always said. If your friend falls on the floor, you first laugh and then you say, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
You don't know why. You have no idea why. There are some things that are funny that you don't know why.
Yeah.
You know, there'd be like I remember an ex of mine, she'd make a face at me when she was mad and I would die laughing. Because I don't know what it was. I couldn't even tell you now. But things are funny, and to have someone to tell you you can't do that, why? Because you think that? There's a lot of people that don't like certain music, right? What would I be to say, don't listen to that music? Because I don't like it.
Yeah, that would just make you a controlling jerk. But it
Makes you a tyrant.
Yeah, and controlling laughter is also brainwashing.
100%.
Yeah. So, okay, we mentioned the comedians. If it wasn't for Tim Dillon, I would have never met you. I would never have seen your comedy. How did you get in contact with Tim Dillon? How did you start opening for him? And then we can go into other guys.
No, it's a great question. So I've been doing shows with Chris Distefano for a minute. Anytime he's in town, you know, I've done shows with him. I was in New York. We performed at the Tarrytown Music Hall. What was crazy is that's where I'm from. Tarrytown, Sleepy Hollow, New York. I used to walk by that theater all the time. And the last time I was in that theater, probably when I was 10 years old, and I saw the Nutcracker. And I always looked at it. And I remember Chris May. It was May of 2021. And I go, man, and he's like, what are your dreams? He tells me, what are your dreams? And I go, all right, there's this theater in New York. I would always love to play it, like sold out. He goes, which theater? And then I said it, and then he finished it with telling me the street that it's on Main Street, right? I'm gonna do a show there. Is that your dream? Open for me. I remember I was like I get choked up thinking about it right now. And I go, I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick. And I went to the bathroom and I teared up, I wiped my face real quick. And I was like, how quick and easy that was. You know, and then we went there, we had a great time. And then I go, hey Chris, if I'm a big fan of certain people, yeah, I know you know them. If I were to ask you, you know. So 2 weeks before Tim Dillion was there, Chris was here. We did 5 shows. Could you call him? He texted him, he's like, yeah, he's not hitting me back. All of a sudden, he goes, hey, just got off the phone with Tim. You're in. He goes, yeah? He goes, yeah. He just knows I use you, so I said, you're the guy to know. I was like, what? He's like, all right, you ready for the second show? I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Natural to them, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Then I meet Tim. He is exactly he's Tim Dillion. The guy is him, unequivocally himself. There was something so funny that it took me like a day to really warm up to him, or for him to warm up to me. I get it, a lot of people probably want to talk to him. I remember I walked in on the second night and he goes, there was a picture that somebody had drawn out, like a huge picture of Tim Dillion like yelling. And Tim Dillion is laying down on the couch on his phone, and I go, oh shit, Tim, look. I was like, who drew that for you? He goes, somebody who's crazy. Just kept going. And I go, oh, you're not that hyped about it. He goes, so nonchalant. He goes, Eric, one day you'll be big, and somebody will draw a picture of you, and it won't give you the feeling that you thought it would.
It's probably like creepy to him at this point.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's where me and him connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he took us out to dinner, man. Tim Dillon's the man. He took us out to Maple and Ash. Like, he was Eric, I was like, oh, you know these places here? I'm like, yeah, Maple and Ash. I called him up, like, hey, it's me and Tim Dillion. Get us a table.
Yeah.
We got it. And I remember he's like holding court at the table, talking about like, he's just, and I remember I said something. I was like, let me say that. I made him chuckle, like laugh, like a little bit of food came out of his mouth. And I was like, oh man, that was the greatest feeling. And then he goes, after we're all sitting, he goes, hey, Eric, have your people reach out to me and we'll get you on some dates. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we'll get you some dates. You're great, man. You're really good. The guy I've watched for years on television is now face to face giving me those type of flowers. It was incredible. But of course you can't fucking act in awe. You're like, all right, cool, man, for sure.
This is business at the end of the day.
This is business. I remember we went, I just don't, I gotta say the times that I made him chuckle, because to me that is crazy. He goes, I remember we were talking, I was like, yeah, and now I was more comfortable. I was drinking a little bit. He doesn't drink, but we're just talking. But he liked that. He's like, be real with me. So it's me, him, and his assistant, my boy, shout out to Travis, fucking man. I had said something like, yeah, people get drunk, throw themselves off a building, commit suicide, right? I had said some story about how some girl had killed herself. We were just talking about stories, and he just laughed. He goes, because I went on to something else. He goes, Eric, you are so New York. I was like, and he goes, I laughed because you mentioned suicide and then went to talk about the food. It's the most casual thing I've ever seen anyone do. And he goes like, that's so New York of you. He goes, yeah. He goes, now I could tell, And man, I'll shoot you the footage. They announced me 2,107 seats sold at Mystic Lake Casino in Minnesota. All right. Winner of Best Comedian Arizona. Featured on many streamers. Eric Bernal. And I went out, and you just hear me go, let's fucking go, baby. Let's fucking go. And then just people just go like, oh shit, he's like, they don't know who I am.
Yeah.
And then I forgot which comic told me, but he was like, look, It's cool, you're headlining in Arizona and you're doing your own things. You want to know if your jokes are good? Go perform in front of a crowd that did not come to see you. That's how you know your jokes are good. Perform in front of 2,105 white people and 2 black people. Because that was one of my jokes. I was like, where my Tim Dillion fans at? Ah, where the black people at? And there was just 2 people like kind of close, like yelling. I was like, yeah, wow, thought you'd be working this event. You know, and just like saying dumb stuff, and they were laughing.
Yeah.
That's the part. Like people go, whoa, you should have never said that. No, dude, you weren't there. You don't understand the context.
Yeah.
You don't understand everyone's vibing. It was a great show. And for the fact that Tim let me do 30 minutes on stage, for him to follow and do like an hour and change, that's insane.
Yeah.
And I'm like indebted to him, and I'd love to do more shows with him, and but he, you know, he's good, man. He gets comics, literally. I've seen him, you know, Ty Rivera, very good comic from LA, now Austin. And man, I've been very lucky to pretty much work with whoever, man. It's been great.
That's awesome, man. And so it sounded like Chris Distefano was the first in your life.
Yeah.
Who would you consider him like a mentor who was at that top level?
Yeah, I mean, Chris, my boy Chrissy D. You want to know what I love about that guy? He is him. And I think those are the comics that I've met that I appreciate. There was no fucking show. He's him. I mean, there's a video of me and him on a mountain, and we're just like, hey, what's up? We're on a mountain, blah, blah. This is Chrissy D, but, and then he goes, yeah. He goes, I thought I got bit by a snake, but it was Eric's dick. You know what I mean? Like, that's just him. It's just all the time. He's go, go, go.
Yeah.
And then like me and him, like we had real life conversation. We talked about each other's circumstances, the good, the bad. He was really open about it. And I will never share the things he said, but I just love that I was like able to be like, man, this is what I think. He goes, yeah. And he would be like, this is what you should do. Don't do that. Don't be, you know, I remember like, he's like, don't be trendy. This is one thing he said it out loud in many podcasts. He's like, you don't want to be the king of the algorithm. You want to be you. So when you do blow, you're you no matter what. Nobody can be like, oh, remember when he used to do that? I kind of like that more. No. Be unequivocally you, and you're going to win.
We recently met, but like I think I'm fans of you guys. I don't know if it's because my dad's from New York and you guys give the same vibes, but there's like just something true about being on the East Coast person where you just say things straight up.
Well, you have to.
You're not afraid of what people think, say, do. You just say it.
Well, there's like no time for the bullshit, really.
Yeah.
I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. I love this place. It's beautiful. But there is a lot of fake hellos and what, like I would never say hello to someone that I don't want to say hello to. I promise to God. It's not me. They'll say hello. I'm like, cool. I'll never elaborate on the conversation. Good thing. I don't have a lot of people that I'm like that with. I do get along with the majority of people, and the majority of people that are not my vibe or not something that I see as value, and not just value like to my career, but value to my life. I distance myself, respectfully, just kind of do my own thing. So. Yeah, man, people from New York, there is no customer service left in us, if that makes sense.
That's a good way of putting it.
There's nothing left.
No fake voice, no fake smile.
Yeah, what kind of ice cream you want? We're all out, baby.
Yeah.
We're all out of that.
Yeah.
We're all done. And it's not necessarily that we're mean or whatever, just very straightforward.
Right.
And it's just like, this is what I want, and I've learned that has been even better, like, with women, to be honest with you. I'm just like, hey, like, blah, 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 this is how I feel, whether it be good or bad. They'll either way respect it more than me beating around the bush about things, lying about it, you know?
So, like you said, you're in Scottsdale. There's a lot of people out here, you know, this is like I say all the time, the Hollywood of Arizona, right?
For sure, yeah.
Always people trying to make it, trying to grind. You're coming your way up. Obviously, you're getting, you know, you go through the back doors like Goodfellas style to all these places. You just took me through the back door. So, you're around guys who are also trying to come up.
Sure.
Are you a mentor to any of them? Are you showing them the ropes? Is there anyone reaching out to you like, hey, Eric, I'm starting out, help me out? What advice
people
you
reach
need?
out,
Yeah.
and I'm all about it. But I'm all about you helping yourself first, too. Like, I'll tell you, like, people be like, I just wanted to get started. Cool, here are all the open mics. If you have not done at least 10 of these, don't ask me about spots. Don't ask me about that. There is no quick way, although my way was a little quicker. There is no fast track for the ones who don't want to put the work in. I performed in front of 3 people. You know, I performed in front of nobody.
In coffee shops.
Coffee shops, man.
Yeah.
People are like, yo, can you shut the fuck up? Because we're trying to like have coffee here. I'm like, yeah, but let me tell you about my mom. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, it's crazy.
Right.
But you gotta go through that because it develops a level of skin on you. And also, it develops a level of appreciation that is hard to explain. I performed in front of 3 people in a coffee shop, I performed in front of 2,107 people, flown out, have a suite. After I was done, I laid in my bed and I couldn't fucking believe my life. And what's crazy is I'm not even 1% into what I want to do and what I want to accomplish. It's what drives me, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm focused, man. As the great Jay-Z has said, I'm focused, man. I don't care if you don't think I'm the funniest, but I will be the hardest worker in the room 100% of the time. I think it's important, you know, a lot of people give up really fast in this game. I remember Joan Rivers was interviewed and she said, and they asked her, anyone else make it in your class that you were with? She was like, all of them made it. All who didn't quit. But when you quit, you're giving yourself a 100% chance of not making it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so there's about 1,000 good comics in the world. The
Yeah,
world.
Just about, yeah.
The world. That is such a small group of people that people like Joe Rogan call their tribe, right?
Yeah.
So what's the best thing about being in this tribe? And what's the worst thing about being in it?
Great question. The best thing is that news travels fast. Hey, you heard about that Mexican kid from Phoenix, Eric something? I'm not even Mexican.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'm Mexican. Whatever. Whatever gets me to the, you know, whatever gets me in front of some eyeballs, you know? News travels fast.
Yeah.
The worst thing is that news travels fast. And it could be the best thing too. I remember I was in Dallas and I was performing with Ralph Barbosa. He's very big. He just got his Netflix special. He usually had the controversy with
George
Lopez.
Lopez.
You know, I heard a previous guy say a joke I've heard before, and I couldn't believe that the joke I heard before was from a comedian from Miami. So how could that have? But literally, I wasn't the only one who said it. I kept it to myself. Someone else had mentioned it. It got back to the person in Miami. The person in Miami reached out. That's how tight-knit the comedy community is. You know what I mean? Like when I met Ralph, he goes, I've heard of you. Ralph is 500,000 followers. I'm 6K. But he goes, I heard you in Arizona, right? Heard good things, man. That's what's so awesome about this tribe. And now the society of this tribe is different because people are trying to lift each other up rather than put them down. Back in the day, you kind of had to do that because there was limited spots. People who got specials, that was like 2 a year.
Yeah, if HBO or Comedy Central
Now
want to
it's
give
like
them to
600 this year.
Yeah, because you
Something
can do it
like
yourself. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So what's the hardest part of the job then? Is it working out material? Is it you know, dedication, focus, showing up to spots? What's the hardest part of this job? Because if you're funny,
Yeah.
right? You have it.
The hardest part is when you have to remind yourself that this is part of the process.
When you fail.
When you fail in every kind of way. You know, I did 3 shows for a guy, didn't get paid. So I had to figure out how to pay my SRP bill, my electric bill. It's those moments where you're doing great, you're making a lot of money sometimes. Like this year, there was months I made a lot of money and I, you know, did shit with it, whatever. And then there's a month where it's like, I made 1/10 of that money and I'm eating different than when I did that month. It's these these highs and lows of what it could be. But that's the cool thing is that I think once you get a taste of what it could be, that's what keeps you going. You know, these interviews, these things, the fact that people give a shit, it is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. So the fact that we'll walk outside and have a whole city that is behind me.
Yeah.
They don't ask for anything in return. It's like certain, you know, I go to these nightclubs here because I love music, I love a drink, this is nothing I hide. And these people go, hey, we believe in you. It is like this support system that if we copycat it and put it towards anything else, we'd be great. We'd be better off. You know what I mean? Instead of everyone thinking that everything's a competition and
Right.
this girl's against that girl and this CEO's against this CEO and that is against this.
Right.
And this podcast is against that. I mean, LA showed that real fast that if you did everyone else's podcast, your podcast blew up.
Yep.
You know, it's about working in unison. But man, I give a lot of credit to the city of Scottsdale and the city of Phoenix and Arizona and all in general and everyone back in New York, but I live here now.
Yeah.
And man, I've never seen this kind of support really for anybody in a long time. And I've been living here for 12 years.
This is the thing that I really want to touch on, actually. So even if you're the most selfish person in the world, right? Let's say that you don't care about anybody else. You want to
Sure.
get ahead, all this stuff. Even if you're the most selfish person in the world, it would behoove you to be nice and invest in other people and show them love, because selfishly you'll get that back to you some way, somehow.
Yeah.
So just being a good person to other people will get back to you.
It's gotten everything back to me.
Yeah.
I've hung out with, I've changed a lot of people hang out with. I hang out with a lot of entrepreneurs now, just kind of want to learn. And then also, I don't hang out with all the entrepreneurs. I hang out with the ones I think I work with and we're chill. One of the biggest advice that these guys give me, these guys are rich, okay? Rich, multimillionaires, drive Ferraris, Lambos, whatever. But they would never mention it to you. There you go, Eric. I was like, and I would ask them, why do you want to help me so bad? Why do you want to like be my supporter? He goes, when you are successful, you'll realize it's your duty to make others successful. It makes you feel even more successful. You'll learn it and you'll do it. And when you get big, you're gonna help somebody else out. It's the way it goes. Chris Distefano, I mean, I'm not gonna tell you how much he gave me as a tip one time. I couldn't believe it. Put it like that. It's a lot of money.
And then he told you to do that for the next upcoming.
Do it for he's like, it comes with a, you gotta do this when you're big, you gotta do it for your feature.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And you'll get it back one day somehow.
Yeah. He goes, to me, this is nothing, but I know to you it means a lot.
Yeah.
You know.
Eric, thank you, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Hell yeah.